Alright guys, welcome back again for another tutorial. Today we'll be covering preparation towards editing in Davinci Resolve, including shortlisting. So what needs to be done before you actually go ahead and do your editing. So we'll be covering that. We will wait for about 5 minutes, then we'll kick off. So in 5 minutes time we'll take off and start the editing. We've got a short film that we're working on that was directed by Sammy T. Johnson and assistant directed by me myself. This film was shot in Ghana, Accra to be precise, Choco. It was an idea from Sam. The story was written by Sammy T. Johnson, and as we're scrolling through, you see the cast members in this film. Just in advance, what I've done already is I've pre-graded the footages so that we can go ahead straight and diving into the editing, just to give it a bit more of an appealing look. We shot this film I think about a month and a half, nearly 2 months ago, and it is time to actually start doing the editing. So this video or this tutorial might take a bit longer than usual. We might be spending about an hour on it, and it's a part one of many to come. We are going to be editing this short film completely on live stream on Facebook. Obviously we will not be able to do it in one day, so we will stop at some point, which is an hour from now, so about 1 o'clock or 10 past 1. We will stop the editing process, and then we will continue again the following Tuesday. So we will edit it all together. I mean, those who are watching and those who are following, you can comment your input. This time around the Facebook is working as it should, and I'm able to reply to comments. So your input is very important. So let's edit this video all together, or this short film together, with your contribution, and it should be fun doing so. We will still wait for a few more minutes and before we kick off. I had a comment from the previous tutorial that we did in the color grading. Someone asked, let me see, to be precise, someone asked how to obtain this software. Let me see. Yes, I believe it's Aaron Tharps, if I'm pronouncing the name right. When we did the secret to achieving any film look in Davinci Resolve, he commented, where can that plugin be purchased? Well, it's not a plugin, it's actually an editing software called Davinci Resolve, and you can find it above this video stream. You realize if you do actually read the tagging or the topic of this video, it will say editing a short film in Davinci Resolve 14, and then right beneath that it says download Davinci Resolve 14, link below. So I've provided you with the link for you to be able to download this software. It's completely free of charge. When you click on the link, it will take you into Blackmagic Design's website and straight to Davinci Resolve 14. You see a little bubble, a little square saying download. If you click on that download, you get 4 options to download. You want to completely ignore the ones on your right, the ones that says Studio, Public Beta, or Davinci Resolve 12.5.6 Studio. You want to completely ignore those. You need a dongle, you need a license to be able to run. That's the full version. And the light version is the ones on the left where it doesn't say Studio. And also the ones on the left, the top one that it says Davinci Resolve 14 is the latest build. That's the one I'm running right now on this live tutorial. And then you've got a previous one, which is 12.5.6. So the 14 works perfect. There has been a few crashes, you know, it's still in the beta process, so it's like it's not fully developed yet, so they're still testing it, and people like us installing it and running it will send them feedback in terms of how it's operating. If there is any crashes and stuff, it will automatically send feedback to Davinci Resolve for them to correct those little bugs and errors and stuff like that. So I do recommend the 12.5.6, which is a much stabler version. But if you want to follow along to exact same screen as what I've got here, the 14 public beta is what you want to download. So underneath it you see it says Mac OS X, Windows or Linux. So you pick the operating system that you're running on your computer. If it's Mac, you click the Mac one and then you install it from there, or download it and then you install it. If it's the Windows one, you do the same thing, you just download it and then install it. So it's very straightforward. Hopefully you'll be able to download that, and you should be able to run it if you've got a reasonable processed computer. So that is that out of the way. Go ahead and download it. It's completely free, and you'll be able to do every single thing I'm doing right now on this system. And I think that way you would understand exactly what I'm doing, because it's slightly different than the regular Premiere Pro and Final Cut. Davinci Resolve is more concentrated on color grading, and for the past decade that's what they've been concentrating on. So it's just recently, for a couple of years or so, they've started doing editing linear and allowing you to edit and process a complete film in this software. So I think I've spoken a lot. We're just going to wait for a couple more minutes and then we will kick off with what we have done. So what we will do first, I'll show you how to, for those who are new to Davinci Resolve, I'll show you how to open a new sequence, and we'll take it from there. If there are any comments, please do go ahead and ask. I'm able to, this time around, reply to your comments immediately, so it will be good to see your comments and your input in this tutorial. Also, on the other hand, please, if you are on the other side of the world, two things. The tutorials is every Tuesday at 12 in the afternoon, which is 10 minutes ago from now. So that 12 in the afternoon is actually London time. So I'm pretty sure, like most of the countries, either we are an hour ahead or an hour behind from you guys. So you might want to make note of what time it is in your country right now, so that you know exactly what time to come up for the tutorials. So please do make note of that. And then another thing as well is, if you have any questions, please try your best to comment or send your comments in English. It helps a lot because I've been having quite a few comments from what is it called, from other countries and different languages and stuff like that. It's very difficult to understand and reply to it. So please do try your best to comment in English. That would be great and much appreciated. Right, okay, I've got Christopher Opera or Opera asking a question. How am I making money from it? No, I'm not making money from these tutorials that I'm doing on Facebook Live. It's to enhance and support each other in terms of filmmaking. So no one is paying me to do so. It's out of goodwill and good gesture and wanting to support our up and coming filmmakers and young filmmakers to be able to do certain things themselves. In this particular instant, in editing, where you might be good in camera works, you might have a very good phone, you go and do the shoot, and then you will come back and you need to go and pay someone to do the editing. So I am definitely not making any money from it. I do not have any affiliation with Blackmagic. I just love the software. I've used what is it called, Premiere Pro for I believe the past 8 or 9 years, and I have been a member, and I've had the original software, not the cracked version, the original software for quite a few years. And then when the CC kicked in, I signed up and I've been paying monthly to use that software. And I mean, it piles up after a few years of usage. You realize that you're spending a lot of money every month towards a software that you use to make money, supposedly edit videos and stuff and make money from it. And when Blackmagic released their Blackmagic design camera, I was one of the first few people as well to actually go out and buy it brand new. And it did come with the dongle for Davinci Resolve. I know I'm talking a lot, but that's how I obtained a copy or the full version of Davinci Resolve. And ever since, I've been trying my best to actually learn and know how to use this software. I've been day and night researching online how to do certain things on this software, back and forth. And over the few years, I've learned quite a bit. I'm not the best in it, I'm not an expert in it, but again, we are all here to learn, hence the reason why these tutorials are being made. So I'm not getting paid from it, and it's just to help each other out. I feel the need to be able to help others because I have been there and I'm still there, to be honest. And I know how it feels when you've got a job and you wish to do your editing yourself, or you've got a job and you wish to do it yourself, save money, and you're not able to do so. So hopefully that answers, Christopher, your question. To others, yes, I'm doing very well. Sid Ali, he commented how I'm doing. I'm well from last time. As many of you noticed, I was sniffing a lot. I had a flu, I had a cold, and a few bits and pieces, but I'm feeling very well right now. So we're just gonna go ahead and start the tutorial. Do go ahead and invite your other filmmaker friends to join this tutorial. It will be very, very good for them, and also I'll appreciate it. Remember, I am not getting paid to do so, so the least you can do is support me in supporting others in achieving their goals. So we're going to kick off in a moment. And also, if you are in a group or certain groups where they do they are filmmakers or are into the media, do go ahead, copy the link and post it in those groups. It will help create awareness for those who wants to learn things back and forth. So the way I'm keen in helping and teaching the little skills that I have to you guys, I feel that you should be feeling the same, to want others to know what's going on and what to do in terms of certain bits and pieces, editing, shooting, camera works, and whatnot. Kicking off in 2 minutes. Right, guys, so we're going to start now. I apologize for the squeaky chair, obviously. We're going to start now with opening a new timeline, how to open a new timeline in Davinci Resolve. For those who are new, if you go and let me save that for a second. So if you open the software, if you open the software and you go into new untitled project, you double click on that, and in this case I'm going to open the same project we're going to be working on. But if you click on untitled project, you double click on that, it will load up, and once it's loaded up, I know you can't see anything at the moment, but it'll pop up in a moment, so please be patient. System is running a little bit slow due to the fact that I'm running Facebook, I'm running a live stream software, and I'm also running a complete separate computer to be able to reply to your comments. So all of that is streaming through one internet device. So please do bear with me as things are a bit slow and particularly at the moment blank. Right, so we're back in. So let's suppose you have a new untitled project opened. At the bottom here you will not find any of these clips here. Obviously it will be a complete empty bin that we call it. If you look on the left here, it will say master. You can create another one, add other bins and stuff. You have all your internal or external hard drives that's attached to the computer will be shown on the left right side right here on the top. So you click on the hard drive where the file is, and obviously you just drag it into the master bin right here. So in this case we've put all of our files that we're going to be working on in the master bin. If you have a look at the bottom, well, just before then, when you click on the file that you're about to import, you can gain details about that particular file, which is a video file. So if you click on the video file and you look on your right hand side, you see it'll give you all the metadata to the file. It'll give you all the information to the file. So in this case, this particular file that I've selected is 8K 8192 by 3456, and it's R3D, so it's a red file, and it was shot at 2397 frames per second. And over here it tells you that it's got an audio attached to it as well, and it'll give you all the length of the clip and a bit more, so so that you know what timeline to create if you're creating it manually. The ones that we're using over here are 4K, obviously, again shot on red R3D 23.98, and it's got 48 kilohertz audio attached to it. Right, so if you look at the bottom now here, you have media, which we are in at the moment, hence why it's highlighted in red, a little red strip line at the bottom. And then you've got edit page. Here's where you do all of your editing, cutting and pasting the clips together. And then you've got a coloring page where you do all of your grade and be creative. And then you've got Fairlight. Fairlight is a new part, or a new part that they've added to Davinci Resolve. To be honest, I'm not familiar with it. I hardly use it. It's strictly for audio editing, so supposedly every single one of these tells you the audio of each single clip. Obviously the names are lined up at the bottom as well to tell you what clip it is, but I hardly use that. So the last one where it says delivery, you see a rocket sign on there, is the delivery page. Once you've done all your editing and you need to deliver it, here's the part where you export it. On the left side you've got all the export information, how you want to export it, what resolution you want to export it, what frame rate, and which location you want to export it, and many more. Your audio file, you can title it, and they've got also on the top left, they've got also presets. So if you're exporting to YouTube, Vimeo, Final Cut, you want to bounce it back into Final Cut to re-edit, or you want to bounce it into Premiere Pro to re-edit, or Avid, Pro Tools, and many more. So all these presets are there, and I think the maximum on the presets is 1080p output, and obviously with Premiere Pro is XML output. Right, so that's a quick overview on the layout of Davinci Resolve. So also in terms of the coloring, this is not obviously how the clip was shot. It has been graded. What I tend to do, which is a habit, is when I finish a shoot and before I actually get into starting to edit it, I do the full grade, choose how I want it to look like, and then once I'm done with the grade, then I'll go ahead and edit. And in this case with Davinci Resolve, I can easily bypass all the grade if I feel, because of the colors, the editing is going slow or the computer is running slow. I can easily go ahead and bypass all by just clicking on the right top, this little circle with the line across. If I click that, you realize that the footage is very washed out. Obviously it's the raw file, and it will make the files or the computer run a bit smoother if necessary. Now on my case, I don't really need that because I have a Red Rocket file that I'm running, Red Rocket card, sorry, that I'm running on this PC. So these red files will play whether I've graded it or not, and also the computer is quite fast. So first things first, what we want to do is shortlist the clips that we have shot. the files that we have in the master bin. You tend to do this in your folder before dropping the files in the bin. What I tend to do is, for example, I'll go in the folder and then I'll just select the clips one after the other and then play through it, because once you click on it you can actually play through it right here on the left, on the right on the screen. So the ones that I don't want, or the ones that I feel were are not necessary to use, I'll just delete it in the master folder before I drop the ones that I need into the bin. If not, delete it, keep it, but then only select the ones that you know you're going to be using into the master bin. Let's see. So in this case, since I've imported everything, all the clips into the master bin, I'm gonna be playing each of them, looking at the ones. Obviously, since I'm doing a live stream, I'm not gonna play it, but I'm gonna scroll through it and see the ones that I really need and the ones I don't need, and I'll remove the ones that I don't need out of the master bin. Some of them I know them in and out, so I don't really have to scroll through it, but I have a rough idea of which is which. So supposedly that's the first thing you do. You scroll through, delete the ones that are error files, like this one for example. If you realize, obviously the characters were a bit late. The characters running, and they're supposed to be running as well, but they weren't paying attention because obviously they were talking. So like that is not necessary to have on my timeline because it's just going to slow down the computer. So I'll just delete that out, and then we retook it again, and then we had that. If you look at this file, you realize that the sky is completely blown out. It was a very harsh sunny day to shoot, and it was very difficult. It was hot, and also we didn't have a matte box, so you realize in a lot of the shots the top end is a bit washed out. That's the reason, that's the cause of not putting a matte box in front of the lens, hence why it looks like that. But it's a short film, and we can make do with what we have. Right, so after removing or shortlisting the shots, then you've got everything. When you move on to the edits tab, you have the files that you did not delete will be on the right side of the bin right here, and you can start editing from there. So in this case, I believe in this case, because I have placed all the files on the timeline and have color graded it, if I remove it from the timeline, the files from this side, the grade does not apply to it. So that means I'll have to do the grade all over again. So in this case, I'll be editing from the timeline, picking the shots from the timeline and editing it. So we're gonna start doing some of the edits, and we'll take it from there. I do have my computer right next to me, so do ask any question if necessary. If you need to know something, just ask. So one tip on editing techniques is that I want to bring out is, as an editor, you need to be able to be creative and think outside the box. Now, in this case, this this short film was shot very linearly. So it's one scene after the other from the beginning of the script, one scene after the other. And I don't want to edit it straight. If I tell you the story a little bit, it's a group of students going for an exam, and on their way to exam, they got themselves caught up in a neighborhood, a ghetto to be precise, a neighborhood where they got into trouble, and by this very arrogant guy. He was very arrogant in the movie and got them into trouble, and they had to escape, tried to escape by running, and by running away from that ghetto or that neighborhood that they have no clue of. So I don't want to edit it the way I've just said it. So it's like, yes, the beginning, they're all walking down the street, their friend joins them, and then they walk through the alleyway or whatever, get to that neighborhood, get into trouble, and then they start running away until the end of the film. That is editing very linear. Now, we're going to be editing non-linearly. So what we're going to do is, instead of starting with them walking down the streets and meeting their friends, we're going to start with them running. That whole run and chase. We're going to start with that. And then we will start the beginning of the movie with the end of the movie, if that makes sense. So we're going to be starting the film, introducing the film with the run. So they run. They get chased, and then what happens at the end of the film, which I don't want to disclose, what happens at the end of the film will start or begin the actual storyline, if that makes sense. And that's the way we're going to be editing it. So it becomes a bit interesting, and it's nice to actually watch a film that starts with action. It catches the audience, its attention, so it keeps them seated, and it keeps them focused on what's happening in the film, rather than having the basic linear editing where everything is just progressive, very slowly building up the plot. Okay, so I think I've got what I want to start with right here. So I'll bring these two to the front of my timeline. And when you're editing, you always want to leave enough space or enough room, probably about 30 seconds or maximum 1 minute worth of room before you start your edit. Because remember, you've got your titles to put in, and you might have some idea you want to put at the front. It saves you the hassle of having to select all of the edit and then shifting it. Because what tends to happen most of the time is when you have selected all the edits, and you start moving it about, you might mistakenly miss something. And then when you move it, for example, an audio effect, you move it, and then you realize the audio effect, that particular slap sound effect, ends up just popping up, or you just end up hearing it somewhere in the middle of a dialogue, for example. So it's very, very important that you leave enough room at the beginning of your edit so that if anything, you could just place it there when it's necessary. So those are just little tips I want to highlight or bring out. Right. So remember, this tutorial or this edit is not a one-day edit. We're going to be running through it. It's going to take maybe 2 days or 3 days to complete it, and that's strictly due to the fact that we are editing together, so it's not just me editing it myself. If I were to edit it myself, I believe it'll take me about 2 days to fully edit this short film, and that includes sound effects and stuff. So that's another thing that we tend to forget a lot on the other side of the world when we're doing editing. We got to keep in mind that there are sound surrounding us that makes an ambient noise. So if a person is walking on the street, you tend to hear their footsteps. So those things we have to implement in our edit. If for example, there is a fight, you tend to hear some hits and punches, or you tend to hear some hoop sounds and zoom sounds and stuff like that. So we got to think about all those things. When there is a chase, there has to be some sort of adrenaline sound to follow the chase so that it keeps your audience it keeps your audience on their toes in terms of what's happening, and it gets them involved in the film. So if there is an action scene or there is a walking scene and the person is walking and it's completely silent, then obviously you tend to lose focus so quickly. But when there is the sound effects is there, it makes your audience think, okay, what's going to happen next? So all those little things we have to keep in mind when we're doing editing. Right, so I can't hear the sound right now. Let's see. Okay, so I think that frame right there was quite good. So I'll start my cut from right there. So the seeds fall in, one seed falling, then we want to shift back up. I'll cut that again. Let's place that right there. Fine. Okay, so as you can see, the sound there is relevant because there is no sound on the scene before. So I'm just going to remove that sound. Got it. I'm going to remove that sound and then put this particular clip right above the shot, that first scene, and stretch the audio sound across to the other side. So automatically you hear a sound as they're interacting whilst they're playing their game. Okay, So the character looked at the camera right there. We have to get that out of the way. He peeps right here. So we'll go about 3-4 frames back, and then we go that 3-4 frames right after he peeped at the camera. We can remove that and then show okay, can remove that and then show the pothole in between it. But if you realize, we've kept the audio there just so that we get the ambient sound going. Okay, so we will pause it there just for the sake of not missing the tracking. I'm gonna cut that so that I know exactly where I want to place the next shot, because the next shot, again, I'll have to go and pull it out from, where is it, from this side. Let me bring those clips a little bit closer. So I'll be moving it as the edit is building up. Right, so this next shot I want to get from or better yet, let's keep that there. Okay, so we'll end it right here, and then what we'll do is we'll bring in the chase. So we're kind of gonna throw off the audience. We're gonna throw off the audience by confusing them with this particular scene. So let's see. Right, so we end it there. Let's drop in some dissolve, dip into silent right there. And let's fade the audio away. I remember we're working with an editing linear software, so what you want to make a habit of is supposedly every 2-3 minutes you want to hit the save button. In this case, if you go to the Allen wrench or the setting wrench right here on the right corner bottom, it will bring another menu up. If you go to scroll down to where it says auto save, we want that on. At the moment it's on 5 minutes, so every 5 minutes it will automatically save what I have been doing so far. This way, in case the system crashes, or in Africa for example, in case there is light off or run out of electricity or power cut, somehow anything that can happen to distract your editing, it prevents you from losing your file. So this case is saved. So if I get a power cut or light off, or the system shuts down or freezes, I can open back up exactly where I was left. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Okay, let's stretch that a little bit. That's it. Okay, so that scene will end right there. And now we want to bring in the running, the chase. We're going to bring in the chase where the students are being chased all around in the neighborhood. Again, this is not the proper way of editing. You don't want to keep your files on the timeline because it slows you down. Because you want to be able to actually go right here on the left and pick the shot you want and then place it in. It makes life easier than having it on the timeline, having to move back and forth with the clips that you need to edit. It's unfortunate that I color graded this previous before doing this edit, so I'm having to do it that way. If not, I can actually bounce it out, export the color grade, and then have it on the left imported, and then I can use that to edit and then merge it as a 4K once I'm done. But obviously it's a long process, so let's just continue with what we're doing. So now we're looking for the running scene. So right now I'm looking at this shot right here where one of their friends collapsed, and now it's critical thinking. Should I continue with this or should I bring in the chase? So here's where your creativity is supposed to kick in and make creative decisions as an editor. Right, okay, so let's keep that there and let's shift to the running. I think we have a lot of the running towards the end, so I'm having to move the first few scenes to the back and replacing it with okay, in between I am getting silent because I'm trying to reply to messages on Facebook, and actually I saw that shot right here. It's nice to add that to the beginning as well, so let's remove the audio of that so that it doesn't clash with the first shots. So let's see. Let's bring that here somewhere. So So this is the reason why you always want to leave the space at front. You see how I can simply just bring that that shot to the front without having to worry about moving things about. So let's cut that off. We don't need that. Okay, so drops it, shoots. Let's cut that off. And then we'll link this to where the seed falls into the pot, the hole. Let's just move it back and forth. So you want the continuity, that's another thing. When you're editing, you want to be able to edit in a flow. So you don't want to leave any blank space in between your shots or your scenes. So you want to be able to, once something is done, the continuity, the flow of the edit. So in this case, as you see, he flicks the seed. I want to be able to see the seed coming in into the pot straight after, so that it flows nicely, so I don't confuse you there for a second, I don't blank you out. So let's see. Flips, bang, and then it falls in. So let me just quickly, obviously, save that. Let me go to the color editing and then remove the grade. Go back to the editing. Let's see how smooth it flows. See, very, very smoothly flows as. See it? He flicks it and it falls in. So in this case, obviously, it falls in too early, isn't it? So we want to give it enough time, because obviously the distance between where they're flicking the seeds and the distance to the pothole, it's a little bit, so we have to give it that frame. That seems a little bit better. So when you're editing, these are things you want to watch out for, that your edit flows. That's it, that's perfect. And obviously we save it. That your edit flows. It's very important to have your editing work flowing, and that's what makes you a good editor. You're not breaking the continuity, or you're not breaking the focus from the audience. So he flicks it, it falls into the hole. They're there, they're chatting, they're talking back and forth, and then arguing, and then the scene ends. Right, so now we're going to be bringing in the chase scene. So let's save that again. By the way, saving, I'm not having to go up there and then file and save. It's just Control S that saves the edit. So let's look for the chase, where the chase starts. There we go. Right. So the chase started from there. We want that aggressive one. We want that fast-paced chase. Those are the ones we want. So okay, this has to go. That should have been shortlisted. Okay, we want that. Okay, that's too slow for me, so we want this. We want this one. So as you see, I'm putting them together. That way I can just easily pick them up and then move it to wherever I want it to be. I think we reshot that again. Yes, so we have this one that has to go. Right, so as you can see right now, we're having a misfire, what I will call. The audio is not linking up. This is because we're moving the whole lot together. Let's undo that and get it right. So let's see. It's the one I didn't want. This one I didn't want. Okay, so I want this one. And I want this one. So I think we've got enough on this side. So I think those 4 shots should be, or 5 scenes should be fine. So we're going to use that to introduce the action in the film. Right, so let's see. Okay, I think it's interesting where the kids are running towards the camera and then the guys just gets chased right past them. Yeah, I'm gonna turn off the grades for now because it's kind of slowing down the editing. Okay, so let's see. So let's say we started from here. Okay, see that little kid peeping right here at the camera, so we don't want to show that, so we want to cut that off right about here. So that's not showing. So what we're doing now is we're preparing the shots so that we know where we're going to place them. As you can see, supposedly I'm removing the beginning of the sound, let's say where the slate would have been or where the director calls action. I'm removing all of that and then getting it ready for placement. So let's see. Let's cut that right here. cut this as he about to get off the frame, and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 till where the camera pans. Okay, so I see. I think we might be able to do this. So let's see what happens if we move it. Right, so as you can see, I've removed a few frames in between where the camera pans towards the continuation of the running. So having removed that, we're going to get this transition effect that actually allows the camera to see straight away as of what's happening. So that's brilliant. Then obviously we're going to link that together because it's supposed to be one shot, isn't it? So we'll move that over, and then move these ones closer as well. These are the last two, so let's see what happens here. We've got one of our guys at the back there giving us thumbs up, ready to run. So we don't want him to show, obviously. As soon as he's gone, we will cut that and waste that shot. So they start running. So again, got people looking. Remember, this is not the actual edit, this is the introduction to the movie that we're editing. So these shots will repeat itself again at the appropriate time. So we want it to be aggressive as possible and not too long for audiences to see. So we want the shots to be very, very fluid, very, very smooth and quick. And again, so we want to cut from about here because that long running becomes boring. And obviously we've got this little kid standing here that was looking at the camera as well. So if we started from here, he's looking at him, it's a bit more appealing. He jumps over it. Okay, so he jumps over it and then we cut it from there. Yeah, so the same way we did the other one, he jumps over it, bam, and he's running. So we cut a few frames out of that. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We cut this off and then we join it together. We get another simple transition effect. So he's running, he jumps, the other guy's running, he jumps. So as you realize, it's prompt. All of a sudden, the guy's there and he's jumping as well. So these are all editing tricks that makes the movie interesting to watch. Again, he's running, he jumps, bam, he's there, he jumps. Yeah. So again, we'll link it together. And we've got that shot as one shot. Sorry, hold on. And I believe, yes, there is one more shot. Let's see what we've got here. So let's cut that. The beginning part where the camera is a bit shaky and getting ready to set up. So running. Should we keep that? Okay. because we're not ending this this introduction, so we're not going to get them to slow down as they're running. We'll cut it right there. Right there. So there's no end to that running, supposedly. Right, so that's what we've got. We've got five scenes right here that we're going to use to introduce the film. Okay, so which one should go first? Let's see. Okay, so we will start with this particular shot here. It's quite interesting. Okay, so we will bring this in about here. Actually shift it in a little bit longer. This way we get the sound, the audio of them screaming and stuff, or shouting and chasing them. Cut. Cut it right there. What's the next one? Okay. Can't be another alleyway. It's gonna have to be not there. Let's bring this to the front here. Okay. What's here? Okay, so that should link to where they do the jump. So we're building the sequence. Okay, hold on. Let's bring this one rather. Let's open. Let's bring this one in. Let's cut it a bit more from about here. Where the little kid starts reacting towards someone coming towards them with aggression. As you see in the far back, you realize that the kids are getting ready to run away as well. So let's start from there where we get a bit more aggression, and then we will link that to that. So okay. Link this to that now. Shift this in. Alright, so we want to cut this right here so that it doesn't slow down the tension of the run. So straight away we're going to add this to it so that it links up straight away. So let's see. Let's move a little bit, a few frames forward where the action is happening. That's much better. That's much better. So this is what I was talking about. If you watch this frame right here, we did not record sound, for example. So you've got footsteps that's running back and forth, that they're running, right? So we will need some sort of footsteps in there. We can either replicate, I think there's footsteps here. Yes. So we've got a couple of footsteps here that we can easily copy and replicate that. Let's select the audio on its own, that we could easily drop into this beginning part here. So it's all about being aware and thinking outside the box. Yeah, so right now with that same footsteps that they were running in this particular scene, we can use it right here and it will sound as if it was meant there. There you go. So we've got that footstep. So what we would need to put in the final edit is the ambient sound and stuff like that, which we'll get to when we are towards the ending of the edit. So let's see, let's save that quickly, and then let's dissolve this, bring this to a close, including the sound. Okay, we don't want the white one obviously, but let's change that to black. Yep. So we can group this or link it together as one clip. We can shift it around a little bit more. Right, so let's quickly unmute the grade and have a look at what we've got so far. Right, so if you realize um, the transition between the ending of the guy's playing and then the beginning of the run is very, very fast, so we might want to move that a little bit further out so that it flows a bit better. Let's see. Right, okay, it actually works. So instead of using the transition where it closes, let's remove that sound, the transition, so that it becomes as if it's something that's happening surrounding the kids, where the kids are playing. So it will seem as if the running is being done around there. You see that? Right. So as you see, it flows a bit more better. So without the transition, it cuts straight into the running, which is as if they're actually running either towards where the kids are, or this chase, this running is being done right around the kids surrounding. So that's another way of having it done, and I think I prefer it that way. And as I mentioned about the Davinci Resolve 14, the beta version keeps crashing. You can see right now on the screen that we've got an error message stating Davinci Resolve has stopped working. A problem caused the program to stop working correctly. Windows will close the program and notification if a solution is available. So this is what you will not face when you're using the 12.5.6, the previous one to this. So what will happen is I'm going to go blank again. I'm going to close the program, go blank again. And remember, this is one of the reasons why we keep saving what we have done. So I'm going to go close the program, and then it's going to go blank for a second. So bear with me, be patient, and we're going to log back in again, and we'll continue the edit. Right, so as you can see, I'm so quickly back to where we were left off. So the last edit that we did is still there. So let's see if we get some sort of a shot where there would have been a bit more subtle to use as the title, to be able to use that to place a title. Okay, we're gonna have to do that individually, manually. Right, so we're looking for a shot where right, I think this it's, okay, let's throw even more confusion for our audience. Let's bring in the girls where the girls are running as well. So it would be like we're confusing them, like there is chaos in supposedly the area, or there's something really bad happening in the area, and hence why everyone is running away, kind of thing. So let's try and do something like that and see what happens. Right, so we're having to sync manually the audio. Let me turn off the grade again. Bypass all the grade to make our edit easier. Okay, let's cut it right there. You heard me screaming right there. I mean, on the day it was like ridiculous hot. It was so hot, and you call action and they wouldn't hear you because they're so far away, and you're having to shout, and it was ridiculous. But it was such a fun day to shoot. It was very fun shooting on that day. It's a very challenging location to be actually shooting Choco, because there is not a lot of trees there, so there's not a lot of breeze. The sun is hitting the ground directly, it's hitting the roofing of the houses, so it's very hot environment. Those who live there, oh my gosh, I really don't envy them at all. It's like it's ridiculous hot. So let's continue with the editing. So what we've got here is the ending of the guys running, and then we'll cut it into the girls running as well. I believe the beginning of that was a little bit slow, so let's see what we can do here. Yes, we want this. We want it to start from here. So where the guys run across, as soon as they swipe past the screen, you've got the girls running across as well, and then the guys running in the opposite direction. Right, so as you see, the two guys at the back where it's kind of slowing down to relax, because obviously they're off in frame, so we don't want to show that. The tension is supposed to continue, so we'll cut that off, and then we'll bring in the continuation of that shot. I believe is this one right here. Let me get this done right. So that's it. So let's bring that in. And remember, we're still working in the linear formats, making sure the shots flow. Yeah, so we want it to be flowing without breaking the flow for our audience. So as you see, the guy is holding his trousers or his jeans with his hand right there, and then the ending of this scene, you realize that he was actually about to grab his trousers, as you see. So let's see. I think it flows well. Okay, so this part here is where they kind of slow down. We don't want them to slow down. Yeah, so we can cut it right here, or if not, cut it where he grabs his trousers right there. Cut it right there, and then link it to the next angle, supposedly continuation. Let's see what we've got here. We want them to be in the shot right about here. So let's see. So we want them right about here. Okay, it's unfortunate. The guy that holds his trousers is looking to his left. Supposedly he's looking at directions. So we want to give him enough time to come off the frame so that his attention, our attention, don't go to him looking at the left. So this way, once he passes the screen, then we can introduce the other shot. Else we're gonna be breaking the continuity right there. Yeah, I think that'll work better. That's it. So okay, so I think that's. Let's cut away that the person talking in the background, so obviously we don't want that. So we'll cut it right here. And also, to make our timeline run smoother, the ones that's overlapping that we know we're not using is much easier if you cut it away, because it slows down, because computer's going to try and process the footage on the top and process the footage underneath that's overlapping. So if you delete that, that will make your CPU run a bit smoother. Let's bring the other shots that we've got remaining here. So remember, this is still introduction to the film. This is still introduction to the film. So we're still working on that introduction. So we want to cut it from about here. So we want to keep the action going. We want to keep the action going, and then keep the audience attention on the screen.
Hey, stop! Hey,
That's it, cut it right there. And what do we have here? think the last
Stop!
one.
Hey, hey!
Okay, that's not high enough, so we can remove that. Okay, the action has started right there. Yeah, I think it started from about here.
Stop! Hey, hey!
Okay. Okay, let's see if we can. Split this two right here. Shift a bit further. I think they're still running, so. Right, okay. Yeah, we've got the last shot right here. Let's cut it right here. So we're throwing you off in terms of what's happening, what's all this chase for. And that's the point of the edit. So it's like we're getting our audience attention on the screen.
Why are you standing?
Okay, get that. We cut it right there before I started talking. Right, so this is what we've got so far. Let's save that. We're gonna quickly play through it, and we'll end the tutorial from here, and we'll continue again on Tuesday next week. So let's quickly see what we have so far, and we'll continue from there.
Stop! Hey, hey!
So that's what we have so far. Is computer's crashed again. I'm gonna quickly reboot it again just to round up the tutorial. I think when I went to full screen mode you couldn't see what I was playing, so I'm gonna replay it again. Right, so again, let's see what we've got in terms of what we've edited so far. Right. Okay, let's see. So here's where we started. So this is the introduction to the film. So then all of a sudden we cut into where the chase is taking place. So it makes you feel like this chase is happening in the surrounding of the kids, or in the same borough, in the same area. And that's just strictly to throw off the viewers, and also to draw their attention to the screen. Right, so that's what we've got so far for introducing the movie. So what will happen is, right after here, actually let me place one there just for the sake of it, so we know where to continue from next week. We'll place a dissolve there, and right about here we will have a title, the title of the movie. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put a quick title there, just for the sake of it, so we know so that we know the title is supposed to be there. Obviously we haven't prepared a title yet, but we will before we actually continue next week. Yeah, and again with the title, the same thing is going to dissolve in, and that'll be it. So right after the run goes blank, and then the title of the movie comes in, fades out, and then the beginning of the story starts. In fact, let me put the beginning scene in place so that we know where we're at. I believe it's one of these here somewhere. Let's see. Right, so right here is the first scene of the movie. So let's place that right where it belongs, just so that we know where to continue from when we come back to continue the edit. Because obviously you've got so much things going on in your life, and the last thing you want is to forget where you left off. So we've got the ending part where they run towards the screen and past the screen, and the movie fades out. Then the title comes in, it fades out, and then the movie starts. Then the movie starts. So this is how far we've gotten. So this whole bit here is the introduction to the movie, and the next thing, when we come back next week, we're going to continue building the introduction. We will finish the introduction first before continuing with the actual edit, because there's so much that can be put into the introduction in terms of effects, in terms of sound effects, and also titles, because obviously, like, these characters needs to be named. We need to know who's who and who's playing what. So what we'll do is we'll do a freeze frame in between here and there and just point out the character's name. So it'll be very interesting in terms of how we're going to be editing that. It will be very, very interesting, and it's all being creative and thinking outside the box of regular edits. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in, and continue to follow, as there is many more things that we're going to be learning all together. Stay tuned. Next week, 12 in the afternoon, that's 12 in the afternoon London time. So if you are in Ghana, or if you are somewhere in Africa or in Europe, you have to make a note of that, and then know how to compensate for that time so that you don't miss this tutorial. Thank you. Have a lovely day and stay tuned. We will surely continue what we do best. Peace.